Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel to see more videos. Hello everybody and welcome back to York River Cannabis. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I infuse our gummy recipe. But first, if you wouldn't mind, if you are new here to the channel, please consider subscribing. And if you've already subscribed, thank you very much. I appreciate the support, and if you wouldn't mind, give the video a big thumbs up. So folks, today I'm going to be running through a lot of the ways you can infuse our gummy recipe, which we just posted at the same time as this video. Now, the reason being is I want to make sure that that gummy recipe stays by itself, and that I'll show you where along the line you could infuse that. With that being said, guys, there are so many different ways to infuse this gummy recipe. So I'm going to take you through my favorite way and then bring you all the way to my least favorite way. And I'll kind of explain why one is better than the other, at least in my eyes. So let's get right into it. Let me show you how I infuse our gummy recipe. Alright folks, so now we're going to talk about how I infuse our gummy recipe. So first and foremost, a couple of the things that I will be using you can find on Amazon, and I'll leave all that information in the description below, so hopefully you can check it out. If you guys are interested in any type of flower or keef, don't forget you can always email me, and that will be in the description below also. So today folks, we're going to talk about my favorite way to add CBD to our gummy recipe, and that is with keef. Now, this is a premium product for the cannabis plant. You have to extract it, whether it's dry extraction. You can wet extract it, although it's a lot more time consuming. But you can go ahead and check out our video on how to extract keef. But this is by far my favorite way to add keef to that gummy recipe. Now, it has to be decarbed, and typically what I like to do is use 1 to 2 grams, depending on how potent you want it, and you decarb it for approximately 15 minutes on 250 degrees in your oven. Now, the one downside to using keef in the raw form and just adding it to the gummy recipe is that it will float to the surface, and it kind of creates a weird surface on the gummy. It's nothing, you can't taste it really, but it does create that weird textured surface only on one side of the gummy. The other side is perfectly fine. And of course, guys, when I talk about infusing the recipe, I'm going to tell you exactly when to infuse it. Now, this goes for everything that I'm going to show you today, but the number one time, the best time to infuse the gummy recipe is after the blooming stage. So if you're looking at our gummy recipe, it sits at room temperature for approximately 10 minutes, and then we start to heat it up. During that heating up process, that is when you would add the keef or any of these other things that I'm going to go over. So one of the ways I found that you could get rid of that texture in the gummy recipe if you use keef is you can use sunflower lecithin or vegetable glycerin. Now, when it comes to using these two things, it doesn't really affect the recipe too much, but it will dissolve the keef. And the way you do it is you use about 2 tablespoons. You put it in a little bowl like this. You add all your ingredients. You add your 1 to 2 grams of decarbed keef. You mix it around as best you can. You try to dissolve it. And then again, you add that during the heating up process on the stove. And you let it mix in, and you continuously mix it. So this is by far my favorite way. Just adding raw keef, I like to keep it all natural. The texture does not bother me. But if you want it like a store-bought gummy, you're going to have to use one of these two things. I actually prefer the glycerin for the gummy recipe over the lecithin. But the lecithin is well known for absorption. So either one of these will work, guys. It's just your personal preference and what you like. I know some people have a little bit of an allergy to vegetable glycerin. Not a lot of them, but some do. And so they go with lecithin. I do not like the soy lecithin. I go with the liquid sunflower lecithin. You can get granular, but I don't really see the point in the granular for this process. So definitely get the liquid lecithin. So that's that, and using keef and how I use keef in the recipe. The next thing I'm going to show you is an efficient way to add CBD to our recipe, but it is not my favorite way by any means. It gives a harsh flavor, and honestly, guys, it's a little dangerous, and you got to know what you're doing with this stuff. And if you guys haven't checked it out yet, go ahead and please do so on our how to make a CBD tincture recipe, and you can find that in the description below. But here, folks, is our alcohol tincture. Now, for this, you will use a half a cup, and you will cook it down on the stove. And when you're cooking it down on the stove, it becomes kind of pasty towards the end. And what you're doing is you're cooking off the alcohol, because you don't want to really be making alcohol gummies. And so once you do that, you add it during the heating up process when making those gummies. Now, when you add either it's the keef or the alcohol tincture, when you're heating up that gelatin, you want to really mix it in. Just really mix it in. Give it 3 to 4 or 5 minutes, whatever it takes. There's no rush. Just make sure you don't burn the gelatin. Keep it at a medium-low temperature, and just make sure that it's getting mixed in. But I'm not even going to show you this today, guys, because I just do not like using this. I did it at home. I do not recommend it. It's not my favorite way to do this at all. So I will refer you to our friends over at the Magical Butter Machine if you want to learn how to cook down your tincture. But again, guys, you need a pan. You need on low temperature on a stovetop, preferably electric, folks. And if you can do it outside, it's best to do it outside. The fumes are rough on the smell, and it's just a really harsh way to do it. But this is an efficient way to add CBD to our gummy recipe. Now, these are the two ways that I really do not like. It changes the entire texture of the gummy, and it changes the flavor of the gummy, and it gives it like this weird oily flavor. And so, folks, you can use MCT or olive oil that's been infused already with CBD, or you can use coconut oil. And you're also adding about 2 to 3 tablespoons of coconut oil or MCT oil to the gelatin recipe. You can add more if you want. Again, that really depends on what you like and how strong you want it. Now, here's the problem with using oil. It changes the entire texture of the gummy. It tends to float around and make it weird. It also comes with a very similar harsh taste that the alcohol tincture has. Not as harsh and definitely a lot safer to use, but the gummy itself just doesn't look good, and it doesn't really taste that good. It's just not a great way to add it. But however, you can do it, but it's just not the way I recommend it. And again, I'm going to go back to decarb keef and the lecithin or glycerin if you want the nice looking gummy, but you can just add straight keef. It's just the safest way to go, folks. And again, if you are interested in keef or flour to make your own at home, feel free to email me. That information will be in the description below. But that is how I infuse my gummy recipe that is on our YouTube channel, and that link will be in the description below also. I hope you guys liked this recipe and how we infuse our gummies. If you guys have any questions, feel free to send me an email, leave a comment below, and I'll get to you guys and answer them to the best of my ability. Again, I'm not an expert at this, but this is what I've found works for me at my home, and I hope it works for you guys too. And that's all I have for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, take care, and I will see you in another video.